Hello, I'm Drake. Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to discuss the many paths of dragon magic and a few comments I've received, by the way. But before we do, consider checking us out at workingdragonmystic.com. Over there, you can find access to our online school where we have classes on dragon magic, like Dragon Magic 101 and Dragon Magic 103, and much more. And we regularly have live workshops. So definitely check that out. You can also see a link to our online community where you can meet up with other practitioners, talk, chat, share spell work experiments, and all those things, and learn not only from me but other people as we share our practices, our lives, and our mistakes and our successes. If you choose to support the channel, you can also become a supporter over at the online community where you get access to supporter-only perks, monthly spell workings, supporter-only chat area, supporter-only live streams, as well as access to many of the online courses at the online school. For being a supporter, you'll get access to those. And of course, supporters get free access to all live workshops that we do at the online school. All right. So it's definitely a value for your buck at just $10. All right. Now, with that said, let's get into this because I prefer talking about the occult than advertising. All right. Um, by the way, have you ever started to record a video and realized you're almost out of coffee? This is my third take because we was out of coffee. All right. Dragon magic and the many paths of dragon magic. Now, over the years, I have said more times than I can count, there is more than one way up the mountain, right? I have said that time and time again in MCH and many different videos. I have discussed the differences in many of the terminologies from dragon magic versus draconian path or, draconian magic, how many of these terms are used. And somehow, I've been constantly getting emails and questions that this person has claimed that I said there's only one true dragon magic path, or I said, it's been crazy. I've never said there's only one true dragon path. I've never said that. To the best of my knowledge, I have never said that. If I was, I must have been doped up on something because seriously, that's not something I believe. That being said, I do think there are multiple ways. And so when I answer a question about dragon magic, I am going to answer it to the best of my knowledge. And that is probably going to be pulled from my path and my understanding in most cases, but not always. I've also said on this channel many, many times, I actually got my start by reading Conway's books and by working through her stuff and starting to communicate directly with the dragons and learn directly from them. That's led me to where I'm at, right? I've also said that there are many things like Draconic Wicca, right? That is a thing. It is out there. And there's no problem with that. If that's what you wish to do to pursue dragon magic, I would encourage you to do it. It's not my cup of tea, right? It's just not something I'm comfortable with. It's not my path. We got another individual on YouTube. I think I've talked about him a time or two. I think his name is Tim Hayes. I've seen his channel. A lot of people sent me some of his videos. Um, he's definitely on a spiritual journey with the dragons. And yes, there's a lot of his content that disagrees with hundreds of other creators and practitioners that I know. Does that make him wrong? Absolutely not. It's his spiritual path. It does not make him wrong. It is working for him. And I am under the understanding, at least, that there's people who follow his channel and that's working for them. And to me, that is great. That is awesome. Tim, you keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's not for everyone. I agree. That highly spiritual thing is not for me. It's not for everyone. Now, why is it there are so many different variants of a dragon magic path? How is that possible? Well, honestly, because I don't think the dragons are dumb enough to just hand knowledge and wisdom through the tiniest needle hole funnel. I really don't think they're that stupid. I also don't think they're so stupid as to trust one lone redneck with the truth. That being me, seriously. Like, first off, I never would have thought any entity would trust me with enough information and encourage me to get out there and share it. And yet here I am. But it makes sense to me because people are different. There are so many different ways that we learn. There's so many different things that people are drawn to and different methodologies. So it makes sense that the dragons would lay out everything that they laid out to me and encourage me to share it because for those of you out there that is the correct flavor, if you will, it's going to work. It is. It's more focused on the nuts and the bolts and certain details and framework without the dogma, without the spirituality side and that stuff. It's more about the um, confirmable results, if you will, than it is anything else. To some people, it sounds overly harsh. I get that. I'm not offended by that. There's a path out there. Um, so just for example, okay, first off, you have my courses and my lessons through Dragon Magic 101 and 102s already posted at the online school. Many, many, many people have taken those courses and it has changed their lives. I am humbled by the concept that I get emails with that statement. I am because I never thought any of my work would be life changing. But it amazes me, and honestly, if Working Dragon Mystic disappeared today, I could, I'd be happy because so many people that have already been helped by the work we've done. That is amazing. That said, we also have DJ Conway. Let's be honest, DJ Conway changed my life because when I found her books, granted, I didn't find them in a traditional way, but when I found her books and began studying it, that was the first time I was really opened up to the concept of dragon magic and working with dragons even if I don't necessarily agree with some of the writing styles or choices that were made, even when I know that, yes, the publisher made her do a lot of those things. And after talking with her, she did confirm a lot of the things I learned from the dragons that wasn't in her book, which I still thought was pretty cool. And yes, she's one of the first people who encouraged me to publish and, more importantly, self publish so that I maintain control of everything. And I am grateful for her belief in me. I really am. And I'm grateful for her works. And there are still people out there who are coming to Dragon Magic for the first time through DJ Conway. And some people get those books and they function perfectly. And that's great. I got no issues with that at all. It is true that most people reaching out to me are a bit confused by the way those books are set up. And that's fine. But that also makes sense. That doesn't mean, personally, I don't think that means that most people get those books and are confused. I don't think that. It's just most of the ones coming to me are confused by them. And to me, that would make sense more than most people are confused by her books because the people who aren't confused by her books, they don't need me. They seriously don't. They got the books, they're cutting loose, they're seeing progress, it's working. They don't need me. Um, that's why most of the people I hear from are the ones that are confused or didn't like it or whatnot. They're looking for something different than what she presented, and that's perfectly fine. Thankfully, we do have Conway's works there to be there for the people who need them, right? Um, there's also a book out there. I think I know I've read it. It's I want to say it's on like Dragon Holidays or Working with Dragons Through the Year by I think it was Virginia Chandler. It was an interesting read. I kind of liked it. Didn't overly agree with everything, but it was an interesting read, and I still liked the book because it was something I could go into and see like do I want to alter these rituals in some way for my practice? Um, I think I've altered one. I've been so busy, I've not actually gotten to go in and deep dive it. I want to still. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like they didn't necessarily line up with a lot of the things that I've learned. And I did a series actually on solstice and equinox dragons at the community. So that series doesn't necessarily line up with her yearly book. Does that make that book wrong? Absolutely not. I think that yearly Working with Dragons book is a fascinating book, and actually for people interested in dragons, I check it out. You may love it in its exact layout as it is, and even if you don't, I would say use it as inspiration to customize it to your path and practice. Right now, Draconic Wicca. Generally speaking, Draconic Wicca is often defined as Wicca, only you replace the elements with dragons. And for the most part, that is true. However, there are a lot of Draconic Wicca traditions out there that differ from that overly simplified description. And there's so many of them, we couldn't even begin to define them all. So, yes, Draconic Wicca originally falls into that simplification, right? And that's fine. And a lot of people's like, well, you say dragons don't like to be worshipped. Yeah, every time I've talked to any dragon, they keep hammering that home. They absolutely keep hammering that home. So why do people worship them in Draconic Wicca? Well, I won't lie to you. This is something I've meditated on. I've thought about it, and honestly, I have to step back and think, I think the dragons are just nicer than I am. And here's my reason for saying that. Dragons constantly tell me they don't like to be worshiped, they don't like to be treated as deities. And they're reinforcing that with me because I I'm not a religious person. I'm a faithless bastard. I've said it many times. I am not a spiritual person. And they keep reiterating that with me because they don't want me to get uncomfortable. And for many people out there, they don't want them to think you need to worship them or you have to treat them like gods. And I mean, if, that's just simple. Um, so it also makes sense that under that same lens, that same light, that if someone is pursuing a path where something to worship, something to believe in, something divine, something larger is really kind of a comfort spot for them, something they need in their life to drive them forward on their path, it makes absolute sense to me that the dragons would have no issue sharing their wisdom and knowledge while filling that role as well. It makes absolute sense to me. And that could be a discussion for another video in the future. So for anyone who's saying Draconic Wicca isn't dragon magic, I say horse shit. If Draconic Wicca is the form of dragon magic you wish to pursue or the way you wish to work with dragons, you get right to it and you keep on doing what works for you. Only thing I ever care about in life is you're following a path that works for you while not hurting anyone else, right? Needless hate, needless harm, that stuff's stupid as shit. Don't do that. If your path causes you to needlessly hate somebody or cause harm, then I might have a problem. But otherwise, as long as you're doing you and not hurting anybody, don't care. And then, of course, that brings us to a very, 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 very controversial figure in Dragon Magic, and that probably is Diana Cooper. Um, I get asked a lot about Diana Cooper's works. And it's a tricky one. Okay, it is a tricky one. A lot of people come to me and say it comes off very undragon-like. It's like she's just took something else and put dragon images on it. And maybe she did. I don't really know. I know where you're coming from. It does kind of like when you read it, it comes off celestially, angelically, fayish, depending on what you're reading at the time. But that's okay, right? It's weird. I don't know how to say this. I I like Diana Cooper's writing style. There's something um, about her style of writing, like she really can connect with the reader. That I appreciate. I really do. But it's almost like that reverse of my experience with Conway, where Conway's writing style was less my favorite, but the material itself I found useful. Cooper's writing style, I love her writing style, but the material I found far less useful. But that's my opinion. That's a Drake thing, right? That's a Drake thing. That's my viewpoint. That's my personality. I know a lot of people, a lot of practitioners who adore Cooper's works. And it makes sense. I know these people, they're good friends. I know their personalities. I know their view of the world and how they handle things and the type of things they're interested in and the kind of things they're drawn into. We're all very, very different people. And Diane Cooper's works are some of the ones they absolutely adore. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, infinite paths up the mountain, infinite paths up the mountain. And I do not think the dragons are ignorant or stupid. So it would make sense that the dragons are going to see to it that there are as many absolute paths to reach out, help humanity, teach humanity, give wisdom to humanity, and help those individuals to better their lives in whatever ways the dragon can find to do so. And it makes absolute sense to me. So, no, I do not think there is only one true path, regardless of what a lot of people out there seem to be saying about me. Apparently, they've never watched my channel. But also, I wanted to clear up a few things about these. There are many, many paths out there, and I didn't even cover them all. I really didn't. And I had one person ask, could they do the draconian path, like well, as in off Mason's books, and could they mix dragon magic in with that? I don't see why you couldn't. Dragons work with every entity type I'm aware of. So yes, she works a bit more with Cliffothic entities. Not all the entities are Cliffothic, but there I don't see any reason why dragons couldn't blend in that. How you would do that, I don't know. I've not actually sat down to figure that out personally myself. That'd be something you'd have to do your own legwork on, but I think it would be probably possible. I really do. So yeah, there we go. Many paths of dragon magic. Yes, I will answer the questions from the area I know best, which is the works that me and the dragons have done and worked with. And many questions come through, and most of my viewers seem to be getting the same feedback. That's fine. That's fine. You're getting the same answers from the dragons when you ask me a question. That's fine. I don't mind that. You're getting something that disagrees. That's fine. I don't mind that either. It's your path, right? I hope this helps some people out there. I know this has been a hot topic. I gotten a lot of emails asking me and telling me about certain things out there and sending me links to all kind of places, showing me people talking about dragon magic and even bringing my name directly into it a time or two. Um, so here we go. Hope this clears it up. And if you do have any more questions on dragon magic, drop them in the comments below, or again, join us over at the online community. Online community is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm in there all the time answering questions and enjoying chats with the community members. So hop over there and I'll do my best to answer where I can. All right. Until next time, everyone, have a great day and continue to improve and do what you're doing. Take care. Bye bye.